Is it still a privilege for women rather than a right to have basic access to sports, to participate, to play, to enter sports?
I started my international career after my marriage. So normally, Indian system, after marriage, everything is over.
When I used to watch sports, all the other athletes are wearing all those absolutely figure-hugging clothes, and our athletes very well toned and turned out. They had to wear some baggy clothes and run. Anju will remember.
Thank you for that nice, warm introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this panel discussion. We are trying to explore today how gender shapes sporting experiences in India. So, we will look at also certain key issues related to our topic, such as access, representation, media narratives, and we will also look at how sports for women is evolving in India today. And to unpack all of this and put it in the right perspective, we have two eminent women here who will be talking to us. I mean, as Anju Bobby George was just introduced, I don't have to say anything more. She's a celebrated sports person, and I'm sure she's ready to leap into this conversation just as she leapt into the record books. And of course, Sharda Ugra, who's a distinguished journalist, as all of us know. So welcome both of you to this conversation. Um, so let's begin with the first key issue, which is access, right? We all know, typically in India and historically, males have been pretty much privileged to gain access to sports, and they've had a lot of concessions, and they are very dominant in certain sports like cricket, hockey, football, and wrestling, boxing, weightlifting, traditionally male dominated sports. But of course, lately there are women taking up these sports. But in terms of access to sports itself, is it still a privilege for women rather than a right to have basic access to sports, to participate, to play, to enter sports? Anju, let's start with you.
Good evening, everyone. How many of you ever played sports? Okay, good. You all like sports, right? Okay. Um, Indian sports, I guess, in my opinion, for girls and boys, it's equal. Maybe in some remote villages have still issues, but access is equal for everybody. Uh, but some sports still have some discrimination, uh, like prize money for boys, like cricket. Now our women team also playing well, and they are also not equally treated, but still. But athletics is one sport. Girls and boys getting equal opportunity, equal prize money, equal events. Um, I can tell you one incident. One of my girl in my academy, she's from a remote village. I am not going to name the state from where she is. One day she came, she's just 16, she was just 16, and one day she came to me and said, I'm getting calls from my mother, and she's asking me to come back. And there are three sisters, so she's pushing me to get married at 16. And I said, why? She's asking, you are just 16. And she said, no, no, two more girls at home. So, and she said, my mother is threatening me that she will commit suicide. So I said, if you have the courage, tell the mother that I'm going to pursue my career in sports. And, uh, and if you have the courage. And I told her that I will guide you and I will support you. So she said the same thing, but mother was just yelling at her and telling the same thing. But she was very strong. She said, no, no, I will pursue my career. And after 3 years, she got a job in income tax. So now her family is okay with that. So these type of things are still happening. Uh, but other than that, see, I am from Kerala. My mother was supporting me from 5 years. I started my career. Though there was some issues from family, why you are sending your girl to sports. But my mother said, those who are criticizing me will come and clap for my girl one day. So she was so strong. We need some support definitely. When you're young, we need a family support. I started my international career after my marriage. So normally, Indian system, after marriage, everything is over. Even your profession, I don't think how many of you going to continue. But my submission, just follow your career even after your marriage. Do your work, follow your passion, and you need some money with you because no need to, otherwise you have to always go to your family and ask, and keep something with you. And otherwise it will be very difficult for us to continue our life. Passion always keep with you. So as an athlete, I am trying to change the system. I am trying to do through my academy. It's a women empowerment what I am aiming. So all my girls are from very humble background. One of my athletes, she is a student of Alliance University, Shaili Singh. She got a silver medal in the World Junior
Oh, yeah.
Championships. Single mother kid, but now she is ready to support back her family. If you support one girl, it's a kind of like we are supporting a family and we are supporting a village, or it will be like grow. So each one of us can support and change the system.
Uh, Rightfully said, Anju. You need support, right? And but not everybody is lucky to get that kind of support, particularly in rural areas. And today, if you look at athletics itself, or even hockey, women's hockey, or certain other sports, a lot of women are from rural areas and they are shining like anything, right? So, and many of them speak out quite often and they say, we've come from such humble backgrounds, we've never had access, we had to traverse 10 kilometers for a stadium to practice with decent, facilities. So, I mean, there are these issues still which need to be tackled, but things are changing, as you said. Sharda, what is your take on this?
I tend to agree with what you said, Stanley, because things are changing and they have changed. The important thing is that now, for girls everywhere, and I say girls not in a sort of a derogative kind of way, but for young women everywhere, there are heroes, there are role models, there are people there before them. So the generation that Anju came from had very few people to look up to in that sense. Whether you're talking about, and when the Indian women's cricket team won the World Cup, one of the things one of the players said, she thanked the women who continued playing when there was nothing to play for. She thanked them for continuing playing no matter how difficult it was. So access, I think, still is an issue because every girl from every little village far away from an urban center in various parts of the country who breaks out, it's a big challenge. And you will hear stories, everyone's heard stories about what the Haryana government does for women athletes. And it's great. But an athlete will come out from Haryana and she'll still have to go through that grind of that particular village or that panchayat saying, no, you should not. And then her family fights for her. So there is this, if your family doesn't support you, then it's literally like you have to run away, and try and find that. So those stories are still around, they still exist. But the platform for things to relate to, I think that has certainly improved in, say, over the last 30 years that I've been a journalist.
A related aspect is, which Anju rightly pointed, was, in conservative settings, I'm talking about, particularly rural areas, and even in urban areas, there are expectations and certain beliefs. They say, oh, it's a bit unfeminine for, women to take up sports. I mean, there are thoughts, that kind of thinking and that kind of a mindset. There's also this issue about after marriage, very few athletes or sports persons pursue their athletic career, which is something I wouldn't say not heard of in India, because there are athletes like sports persons like Mary Kom, Reith Abraham, who are still taking part in masters athletics. But you look at athletes from other countries, Alison Felix or Shelly Ann Fraser, they got married, they had children, and they came back and they started winning. I mean, being the fastest sprinter or the 400s runner and in the relays and multiple goals. So, and also in India, there's another point which I'd like to highlight. There are expectations of domestic responsibilities thrust on women, which is not easy and unfair as well. So let's talk a little about that, Anju. I mean, is that still on since you've been coaching and involved with sports? Has the mindset begun to change?
A girl or lady, if you want to pursue something, she should be strong. Even from my family, it's not my husband. My kids are saying the same thing. Mama, you are always traveling. You are not taking care of my kids. And now 10th exams is going on. I was away. And he was saying, Mama, my first exam is going on and you are away. I said, see, I'm an athlete, but I have some responsibilities. You are my kids, it's okay, it's your privilege, but I have some other kids also to take care of. But I am trying to teach them that I am not only their mother, I have some other responsibilities. So maybe all the ladies facing the same issues from family. So sometimes if cook is not there at home, we will be in a terrible state. We have to cook, we have to travel, we have to do our work. So sometimes it's difficult for a lady to cope up with all these things. Athletics, it's very difficult.
How do you juggle that? Any suggestions?
Multitasking people are we.
Okay.
So I tried my career after childbirth, but it was a mess because I got several injuries after that, because during my pregnancy I thought I am an athlete and I will be like perfect body, perfect. I went up to 105, 7 kgs, can you imagine? Yes. So after that, it was very difficult for me to come back to my normal 65 kg. But again, I tried a lot. I tried for 2012 Olympics. I ended up with injuries and I hanged my spikes. But many of the events, athletics is little difficult. I still wonder how these ladies still could win Olympic medals, World Championship medal. Even Mary Kom, she got 4 kids, but still she was continuing her career. So hats off them. It's a difficult task.
Sharda, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to jump in here and with what Anju said is I'm not sure if the audience knows that when sports science research that you heard, it's a big field, people are taking part in it. Only 6% of the research in sports science, 6 is a number I've heard. It could be, at the most, it will be 10. It will not be more than 10. Only 6 to 10% of research that's taking place in global sports science is centered around women. And the fact that women's bodies are different from men's bodies. And that's some issue that is, literally there's an academic who has a line says, which he tells everyone when she starts her argument, is that women are not just small men. Their bodies are completely different. So when they are competing, say like in athletics, for example, what's happened to them during childbirth and growing up, and I mean, whether it's you're heading towards menopause, nobody has even talked about it. You know, no one even has this discussion. It's not even, it's only now you're listening to things. And through the time that I have been a journalist, it never struck us until it hit us in the face. And we said, of course, we've never heard of anything like this. No one talks about it, you know.
It's interesting that you brought up this thing about, women's bodies and so on, which is also an issue. I was coming to that. Now, you often read in the media sometimes about, descriptive pieces, talking about more of their looks and, how they appear rather than the achievements, and I think which is not really the fair portrayal of a woman athlete. And also, they kind of stress on, oh, the person is too muscular, and these sort of things are pretty frequent in the media. But do women, the question is, do women have to prove, their strength as well as their femininity, which is not an easy thing at all. I mean, how do you look at that, Anju?
I think when I was young, my mother was also facing the same question. Why you are sending your girl for athletics? She will be under the sun, and she will be like fading, and she won't get a good married life. So many questions, but she was bold enough to answer all of that questions. And I think at a young age, when we are pursuing our career, we'll be just focusing in one thing. Just do our job, get medals for our country. So that is only one job what we are focusing. And we are, actually, I was not literally focusing on my look or whatever it is. I was just focusing in my career. So that is, the athletic career is very short period, maybe maximum 10 or 15 years. So if you want to achieve something, you can just do in that. Yes, some events, yeah, some like wrestling, boxing, I'm still scared, and weightlifting. Maybe it will change our body structure, but it will come back. See, am I looking like an athlete now? It's like with big muscles and all? No.
You
It will
look
come
more
back.
like a model.
Oh, thank you. Big compliment. We'll come back. See, each career is having its own like challenges. When I was in US, I was doing my training from 10 to 4 o'clock. Just imagine California standing in that under the sun. We never use any sunscreen or cream or anything. Just go do your job and come back. That was it.
So, Sharda, this whole thing about acceptable female body, in quotes, and focusing on the attire or even questioning the gender. Like, we've had these Duti Chand, Santi Soundarajan, and even way back in the 70s, I remember when Nirmala Uttaya, a Bangalore athlete, she was the fastest in India. And she was beaten suddenly at the Kottayam Nationals by Nani Radha. And then, there was all these questions about Nani Radha. Oh, her gender has to be tested and all of that. So, I mean, these kind of issues also need to be spotlighted. And how do you look at this, Sharda, your take?
The sort of control or the questioning or the judgment of women's bodies has run through sports since the time they started competing. Say at the Olympics, let's use the Olympics as a starting point. And that has still really not gone away because a lot of it, the people that are running sports, the people that are following sports, by and large, until fairly recently, let's say in India certainly until the last maybe 25 years, are men who think that women are small men and their lives are exactly like theirs, but it's not. And there has also been a certain, only now there is an understanding, Stanley, if you're talking about Duti Chand's case, we've come to understand the difference between DSD, which is disorder of sexual development, and intersex, and trans, and all these sort of complicated binaries that are not there. I mean, there are binaries, there are no binaries anymore, and you need to understand the issue better. Whereas the first instance, say, since the time that you heard about the case of Shanti, that in India there was just this hostile kind of reaction, but it is a reflection of what society thinks of women that are not Apsara or some fantastic, beautiful, heroine kind of standard. You'll hear it even in political discussions, like women with short hair. So when someone wanted to say something mean about me on social media, they said, never trust a woman with short hair. So you'll get all this kind of, that still continues. You need an athlete to then be successful, like and have the confidence, which I think this generation of young women athletes do have, to stand up and respond to it in a way to succeed, like Duti succeeded, and to speak up boldly about themselves. But you do need to have much more research. You need to have women involved in the research, as well as not just being the subjects of the research, but the people conducting the research, to bring a certain empathy and an understanding. That needs to get much more highlighted and understood and experienced as well, to go through these kind of questions.
Okay, fair enough.
One more thing, I am also not supporting third gender coming to women's sports.
Okay, carry on.
Because women, we have some limitations, but the third gender is coming up with little more add-on,
Better performances.
So in international sports, International Athletic Federation now doing a test for each and every girl who is going for the competition, and we have to prove we are girls.
Okay.
It's okay. In my this thing, it's okay.
You're for gender testing and so on. What about you, Sharda?
It depends. When it comes to trans athletes, people that are transitioning from men to women, then I have doubts about that, because I think in power sports you need to be very, very careful when you're seeing it, because there is no scientific evidence to prove that your testosterone level, which is the marker that people use, is goes reduces after you transition, right? Yeah, nothing shows that the testosterone level drops below. So the difference between male and female athletes is, correct me if I'm wrong, between 20% approximately physical body difference. You say 10, 15 and 20%,
yeah.
depending on the sport that you're playing. And for after an athlete transitions from male to female, that testosterone level drop is not 20%. It's like 5 or 7. I'm just giving you an example of a number. It's not a specific number. There's enough writing about it. You'll find out. So that is where the issue lies. That you have to be careful when you're doing it. It's okay if it's shooting, but not if it's running or throwing or jumping or
physically demanding, right? Yeah, and it's not just in India. We have the case of Caster Semenya from South Africa and so on.
We have many cases.
Yes, exactly. Internationally too, this is going on, and I'm sure the debates will continue. But let's move on now to another issue about gender and how it shapes sporting experiences, which is media representation. How, Anju, do you think women are represented fairly in the media? Because how often do you see the sports pages dominated by women? It's all about cricket and men and, that sort of thing.
Just leave the cricket. We can talk about other things. But our fellow male athletes used to complain when you all compete, like I was there, Sania was there, Saina is there, then other few women athletes, all the pages will be like with your photos, not the male photos. So we were just facing that, like always, that criticism. But I think Indian media supporting women athletes really well. Whenever we go for a competition, they will, from the first day itself, they start writing about us that, or Anju is going for that competition, or Sania is going for that competition, Saina is going for that competition, Sania is wearing that dress. So we are celebrating women athletes. And see, from Karnam Malleshwari, when we got first Olympic medal, yes. So our women athletes are performing really well in the international arena. And other than cricket was just like they were doing from since then. But women, other than women athletes, we started winning medal from Leander Pace. But it was very slow process. But Indian women were way ahead of in that sense. I guess our women, Indian women, we are stronger than our counterpartners in international arena, winning medals, more medals. We are capable of doing many things. We can reach up to the moon. We can go to space. We can come back. So women don't think we are less. We can do multiple things together. And when time comes, we don't know that how much inner strength we have. So always trying to find your inner strength. It is there. When the time comes, it will come out. But try to learn how we can take out that inner strength when it demands.
We believe you, Anju, that you all are better than your male counterparts because Anju is the only world championship medalist from India. So,
Neeraj Chopra after 20 years.
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Um, yeah, Sharda, you've covered sports for a long time. Have you had any problems or any issues when you had to cover, particularly for space, to highlight women's achievements and where the editors decided against if there was an important cricket match, for instance, and giving that better coverage and visibility?
I think the two things that always hold out in, say, on a sports page or in a news program is international success is one thing always. That scores over
Priority.
everything, and then cricket. Right, so that's what the two. Even though we are, so I'm a product of the journalistic sort of product of the 1990s, where we used to win about 55% of our matches, and a television guy told me, he said 55-45 is a good number, people will keep watching. So it was cricket, and they needed international success. And until Anju's generation, until the 21st century, that's 2000 onwards, we had female athletes who were actually not known. Their achievements were not highlighted as much as, say, so there was P.T. Usha, whom we knew of, and there was a few of the women cricketers that were there. And after that, there were the women chess players. But beyond, and of course, P.T. Usha, Ashwini, that whole group. But there was not this range of sports that you see now. Badminton, tennis, and wrestling, boxing, combat sports and so on. So that has really exploded and gone through the ceiling. The women's hockey team did very well in Tokyo. So I think just the presence of women everywhere has made a very big difference as to how conversations around sport can even be had. And as a young reporter, I remember myself being sort of in this trap of looking at men's sports because it was sports and how women's sports is also there. And you get, it's almost like you get socialized in that way. And only when you get older, you say, this is wrong, this is not right, this is the way you should do it. I mean, Anju won this medal in the World Championships in Paris. And I was in the India Today office and I was having like a heart attack trying to tell people what a big deal it was. Because that I understood. A World Championship medal is a serious, absolutely serious thing. So you do have those. And at the India Today office, I wasn't talking to a sports desk. I was talking to general news magazine was having the discussion. So to try and hammer them anything that was outside their knowledge base was like, they had P.T. Usha, and then you had Saina, and then you had Sania, and then that whole cycle hasn't stopped now. Fortunately, it'll just get better, I think.
Right.
No, one more thing I must say, when I was preparing for 2004 Athens, that day, the final day, India-Pakistan match was also there. But my event was the most viewed event. So we cannot say that we are always behind cricket and we are always behind India-Pakistan. We can also watch the Olympic event also.
That's heartwarming to know. Give her a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. So moving on to how the stories are told.
But I must add one
Yeah.
more thing, which is exactly what you're saying about women's sports. I don't know if it was the same night that Anju, you had your final, where the 4x400 final was on the last day. It was the same night that I was in Athens when Anju was competing, and she was at the other side of the stadium, and we were screaming and shouting. And there was a 4x400 team of Indian women made the final of the relay, which has not happened since then. And they broke the national record while doing so. And we do not know who they are. We do not know why X didn't, I mean, we know who they are, but the public doesn't know about the fact that these women were there. And, so that history and that storytelling is where we fell short in that sense. I remember those, Beena Mol was there, and I had interviewed her before. And as she was going past, I just shouted, "Come on, Beena Mol." She almost had a heart attack. She said, "Where in the middle of this stadium is this person
An
shouting for
Indian
me?"
voice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She was so stunned. She was like, "What?" She turned around and I was shouting. And they finished seventh, and the Greek team, it was the home team, the shoe came off and they finished last. So we were so happy that they'd broken a national record. But the point is that you don't know the stories of these women. They're not told enough, because after their careers, unlike, say, a generation like an athlete like Anju, they just disappear. So the other thing that we must take note of is that post-career options for women, post-competitive career options for women are very, very few. How many female coaches are there? How many female national coaches are there? How many female administrators are there? I mean, you can count literally on this one hand, I'll be able to count. And that is where the story and the storytelling and the sort of carrying forward of the story of female success, that is where there are big gaps, because there's nobody to tell that story.
Thank you for bringing that up, Sharda. In fact, I'm embarrassed to say I didn't know about India women reaching the finals of the 4x400s at Athens. I thought it was the Los Angeles 1984 when Usha and the two Vandanas.
No. It was those four
It
girls.
was those four. There you go. You know, so there are some stories that don't just figure in the media, and they are largely forgotten, as, for instance, this one. But continuing on this media narratives in terms of their storytelling itself, you know, is it still this thing, whole trope about, national pride when women win as
Bharat ki
against their
beti.
professional?
That Bharat ki beti drives me mad. Let me interrupt. I get so irritated. I said, there is something more. We are more than just beti, yaar. Come on. What is this beti? Yeah.
Right. Right. No, I think their professional achievements have to be celebrated and spoken about rather than just, national pride. They're the daughters of India and, that sort of thing. How do you look at all of that, Anju?
She loves her mother. We all love our
Literally,
mothers.
I'm in trouble.
We all love our mothers. No, we all love our mothers. Yeah. This is the assumption we are going with.
No, I. What to answer about that? I'm a little. It will be
Let me step in.
controversy if I
See,
say something.
No, it's okay. I will gracefully take over. Not gracefully, I will just butt into the conversation. I think what Stanley is saying here is that the way you look at athletes for their athletic success, at one point you have to stop telling the story of how they came from hardships. And you have to be able to communicate, whether it is through journalism, through advertising, through reels, of the power that they contain in themselves when they are running, jumping, scoring goals, hitting the drag flick. You have to tell that story, because that is the story that will tell girls and boys everywhere that this is what you can do. And when you take away this Beti narrative, then it just becomes an athlete doing what athletes do. Athletes being super people, supermen and superwomen. Yeah.
Right. So they should be, as you're saying, treated as elite athletes rather than just talking about their inspirational stories, right? And then making biopics,
No, I
and
think in Indian culture, what the main thing is, always tell some sad stories that is easy to sell. That is the.
Okay, can you hear me? Yeah. There's a paper, I won't take the name of the paper, but they have a thing, they're saying this is a Mamta story. Mamta story dalo anchor mein first page. That's how they talk about it. And I'm talking about a sports story being a Mamta story. You say, now stop it. Now enough with the Mamta stories. It's 2026. Move on.
okay, I think we've dwelt quite a lot on this. I should move on. Let's move on to, market shifts and commercial issues relating to women's sports. Now, there are still pay gaps. Now, women's cricket probably are on a par with men. I'm not sure. Sharda has to talk about it. Anju, even you can probably talk about other sport. But even in terms of brand endorsements, how many women are really taken as brand ambassadors? You do have of late a few, but still they are few and far between. So let's start. Okay, Sharda, can you kick off this bit about, the pay gaps and the brand endorsements and how
Yeah,
we
so-
see it all skewed towards cricket and men?
Yeah. No offense to cricket and all of that. But the thing is, I just want all of you here who are social media adept and much more clued in than I am to find out who are the non-cricketer athletes that are doing well in terms of their social media reach. Yeah, so I did this thing a few years ago, so I could be wrong. And I did it through Twitter, X, whatever it was called. And at that time, outside of cricket, the most followed Indian athlete was Sania Mirza. So it may be her, it may be someone else. That is, and in terms of endorsements or everything like that, she was visible and she had her own personality, and that's why it came through. About money, let me just be very specific here. I won't go into endorsements as much because everyone. So I've been a cricket journalist. I have to confess. And you'll have people having discussions in which they say, no, you see, the market is not allowing the women, the women are not, the market doesn't respond to the women athletes. I said, look, your cricket board, which has some 26,000 crore rupees in its account, is not the market. That's your employer. So your employer gives you a salary. That's the salary that they're giving you, that's less. And my pet example, pet example, which is going to be for next 20 years because I don't think they're going to change, is when the women won the World Cup, they got something like, I think 51 crores between the whole group to celebrate as a gift or whatever, which is a nice sum of money. Nobody minds any part of 51 crores coming to them. The men who had won the 2020 World Cup 1 year ago got, I think, 1.21 crores. That's almost, it was double or more than double or some mad number. So you're looking at it immediately there and you're seeing gap. Because that is just a bonus. That is not even your pay. That is bonus for winning a World Cup. One that was a 20-over World Cup and the other that was a 50-over World Cup. So therefore is my... And all the time they'll give you this market ka bakwas that the market is not allowing this. They have to... It's not their business to generate the market. It is your business, yeah, you people that are sitting there, to go and get money for them.
Thankfully, it's changing. I think now Spriti Mandana is doing some, getting
Other
some
than
exposure.
that, Sindhu's and
Sindhu's there.
Sania, they all made good money. But
And one
cricket,
more good thing about is the Olympics, the government will give you equal money when you win a
Yes.
medal. It won't say women will get 30% of the money that the men get. They doesn't do that. If you win a medal at the Olympics, you get the same money.
So
This
only
bakwas
cricket.
is only in cricket. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
no, why we all like cricket?
It's a religion here.
Why it became religion in India?
Any
Anyone
answers?
knows? All cricket lovers here? No?
Answer here. Why?
Why? No. Because we are playing with only 16 countries and easy to win.
Yes.
The same place, we athletes are competing against
Competing
210 countries.
Countries, exactly.
Just imagine the toughness. So we all just want to see the victory. So India and Pakistan cricket, what big in that? What big deal in that? So in athletics, only one athlete from Pakistan in javelin. Other than that, nothing. In Asia, South Asian countries, in athletics, we don't have any enemies. But in cricket, they are the big players. But the one day, the America and the other countries, when comes to play cricket, Indian cricket will go. I am not against cricket.
No, Sharda, just to circle back to your point, is market validation still important for gender equality? Because at the end of the day, it does, change perceptions, right? And if you're seen, you believe, that sort of thing.
Yeah, if you see it, you believe it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's market validation. I think it's just market presence, visibility.
Right.
That you need to be there amongst the discussion in pop culture, amongst young people, as to who are the important people in your life that you're looking up to. So if you have an actor, male, female, an athlete, male, female, that's a good mix. It shouldn't be that it's only tattoos and beards and not, the women that are there. And the interesting thing about the Women's Cricket World Cup victory, sorry Anju, is that people responded to it because it felt authentic, because they saw them thanking the previous generation that had played when there was no, so, and you're not seeing that, people didn't seem to see that with the men who are now super successful and fantastic and very, very good. But that is the other thing that the market should maybe respond to. And very cleverly, there will be people that will say, look, women's sport needs to be marketed differently from men's sports. There are also consumer products that will, that
That's
only,
right.
yeah. So those kind of changes you need to see. Because otherwise, sports marketing in India, the marketing of the ads, sports ads in India are extremely stupid. I mean, they show you nothing of the athlete. They show you of them drinking Pepsi and toothbrush, and that's not why they win medals, bhai.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to another important issue concerning gender, which is safety, harassment, and this institutional culture in sports relating to women. Now, how safe are women sportsmen in India? A. And B, is priority given for their safety? Anju, if you can take it.
It's not only in sports, it's everywhere.
Okay.
See, everywhere women have to be very careful. They have to learn how to keep themselves safe and how to defend when it needed. In sports, yeah, of course it's there, but we are in a different era. Government is doing a lot of things. In Sports Authority of India, there is a wing called the 24-hour hotline. So anytime, any harassment, any issue for a girl, she can directly call without naming her name, without informing her name. She can register. Within minutes, the support will come. And everywhere, everybody knows things are different now. But still, parents are worried because of this today's atmosphere. Sports, we have to start at very young age. Parents are worried to send their kids at 12 away from city to a training center. It's normal, I guess, everywhere, not only in sports. I think we should, it's not only for women, it's for boys also. They are also facing challenges. They are also facing harassment. So we should teach our generation, our kids. See, they are not our enemies. They are not a element to enjoy. They are just like us. They are our brothers and sisters. Give the importance and give the, we should give that respect to them. So just teach your kids how to respect others. Then the entire world will change.
Right. That's an interesting point. Yes, we agree that, of course, everybody and in every area, women have to take precautions to be safe. But, there is this patriarchal governance in terms of sports, and, it sort of limits the agency of women. And also,
Only thing is that it is body touching events in some sports, so
right.
there some exploitation can happen without even because small kids don't know whether it's a bad touch or good touch. So there we can't help, but we are teaching the kids that whenever you feel some uncomfortable or something, tell them directly first, and if they are not listening, go to the authority.
Right. But Sharda, moving on to you, there were some high profile cases in India, particularly like wrestling, and which we all heard about. So how does one look at that, Because women did speak up at that point across the country. So it's sort of, despite complaining, your agency is sort of limited. Don't you think so?
I agree with you there, Stanley, because what Anju says about the Sports Authority of India hotline, it is a very good thing. It is there. I know that there are people, there's a friend of mine, Declan Leta, who has put out a brilliant YouTube video of of coaches and strength and conditioning coaches of how to act with female athletes. He's actually put it out. Basically saying their bodies are not there for you. Their bodies are there for competing. So literally, it's like one 101 class for these, for coaches and so on. If you get a chance, do look at it. And I think the wrestling case really proved so many things to us. Sorry, Anju. That it proved that even our topmost female athlete cannot be safe even when they speak out and say what has happened to them. I would urge all of you to read Sakshi Malik's book called Witness, which is an absolutely clear-eyed account of what happened. And the fact that we had a picture of the sports minister with the former president of the Wrestling Federation of India at an event a few weeks or maybe months ago, it's outrageous. But then we are living in this world of the Epstein files. So it is, our brains cannot comprehend what is happening. So that certainly is there. The great hullabaloo over the women's cricket team winning the World Cup exists in an environment where there is no special women's cell for cricket in the board. There is no women's cell in that cricket board. They will have a harassment committee and there will be no woman on that committee. You know, so there is a lot of box ticking is happening, but there's not real action there because there is no female presence at the top of governance, of authority, of executive decision making. That is where these lapses come in. That is why you see that the agency of the women athletes was shown to us in the case of the wrestlers. For everyone who thinks that, you know, that no, all is well, it is not well, because this is what's happened to people that have won new medals at an Olympic Games and World Championships. So the person at the bottom of the line is someone else. So, yeah.
Okay. So one good development is, of course, social media, where athletes, sports persons can control their own narratives and, you know, have their own voice, even directly engage with their fans. So I think on that note, we have to stop here and probably open the floor for a few Q&A. I wish we could continue because we have these two interesting speakers who are giving us some good inputs. But yeah, we'll open the floor for questions. Any questions? Yes, can someone take the mic to the lady there in the center?
Hello?
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. So I just had a question. I wanted to ask, how do you think that social media blurred the boundaries that sports person have regarding their professional identity or their, personal self? And do you think that this expectation of, constant visibility is fair for the sports person or sports in general, sports people at large? And how do you or any sports person in general deal with it? So that is my question.
That's the main issue what we as coaches facing. Our young generation kids, they are into it. They are completely focused in their social media and appearance. And they are forgetting that they have to do training. In competition, in training, they have to get proper rest. Training is 6-7 hours a day. That will actually, they will be like dead after the training. And they have to get proper rest. They have to eat well. But today's kids are more focused in social media and appearance. I don't know why you kids. You don't need to prove anything. Just do your job, and when you achieve something, people will recognize you. It is not the social media. And a lot of negative and positive things are there, but people are not grabbing the positive things. They may grab the negative things also. And I am struggling with my girls. Sometimes we have to snatch their phone for many months from them to keep them calm. Otherwise, when they come for the training, they will be more aggressive. Oh, my reach is not that much. We are not bothered. But these generation kids.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry to cut you, but what I meant was that how do you think that, your personal identity, other than your professional identity on social media, how do you think that, is it fair, like for sports people their personal life being discussed by everyone at large? Do you think that...
it's not fair for all, not only for sports people, for anybody.
Yeah. So
it's our private life.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have to lead a private life.
Exactly.
And it's not for show off.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you deal with it? Or sports people, how do you think that, okay, how would
But
you keep yourself as
one
safe?
thing is there. People are actually looking at us as their sometimes role models. So they are thinking that we are made of something else. So we should be always like presentable. We should be always act like that. If I drink a Coca-Cola in front of somebody, then the mother, see, she is drinking a Coca-Cola. But see, we also have some like likes and dislikes. Sometimes we are also cheaters. But but we need to show a perfect face in front of the next generation kids. But we are also human beings. See, sometimes how we are criticizing the film actresses when they are doing some, maybe if they are wearing something or they are, see, everybody is having their own likes and dislikes. We should accept that. I think today's kids are not behind that appearance or anything, but sometimes in a large scale, people are criticizing others a lot. Just live your life.
Yeah.
Just leave others.
Absolutely. If I may just add a point here, um, I think it's a huge challenge for this generation to get away from social media. Not just about sports persons, but every youngster. So parents, teachers, they are all coping with this challenge, and we are. I think it's going to be very difficult to get away from it because we are all living in this world of instant gratification. So particularly for sports persons, they want that gratification, you know, when they win a medal and so on. And social media is the easiest. I guess that is the reason, but I'm not sure. Um, that's it, yeah. Can we take, if there is one more question, and then, yeah, there is just one more question there.
Okay, so hi sir, good evening to all. Hi ma'am. So ma'am, I want to ask that how do you envision the future trajectory of Indian women in sports? Because recently Indian women's cricket team won 50 over World Cup, and I personally believe it would bring a huge boost in Indian economy for especially for women's. Women would come in into the mainstream, and it would help them to take up the sport not only in cricket but also in boxing, tennis, and all. Because what I can
Why
remember
you are
is,
not mentioning athletics?
ma'am, that's what, ma'am. The thing is, especially currently, cricket is in the mainstream. No disregards to any other sports, especially to Olympians. But the thing is, what I
So
can,
do you this Neeraj Chopra's Olympic medal or the World Cup trophy, which is more
Individual versus team.
individual, yeah,
I'm definitely Neeraj Chopra's world golden medal brought a
that's
huge
it.
significance in
That's
Indian.
it.
But ma'am, my question is that Saina Nehwal, if you see Manika Batra, apart from these few names, there's not much coming in from global sports, especially in India. But when you talk about cricket, Smriti Mandhana, Harmanpreet Kaur, and many other sports athletes as
What
well.
papers are you reading?
It's a team game, beta. So you can see many girls.
But ma'am, my question is that why other sports are not having that big of a names which cricket is producing at the moment?
One second. Now the thing is, you're going to get cricket 24/7 coverage you get, which the women used to never get. Now suddenly
ma'am,
they're the most
definitely.
popular thing,
Yes, ma'am.
correct?
Yeah.
Others athletes are at the same time competing around the world and winning tournaments, which you don't get to hear about because it's in shooting. How many medals we have won at the world
That's
championship
what my
level?
question is. Why is it not getting attention?
Because you're reading the wrong
Them.
paper.
Because of them.
Because you're reading the wrong publications. You're following news in InShots. InShots is not going to tell you about that. Okay.
And also chess, women in chess.
No, so I no, I understand what you're saying, that it'll be great for women's sports to be there. And somebody asked the women's hockey coach Pritam Rani Sivach about the cricket win. She said, I know a lot of men are getting very angry that that cricket has won another match, but I'm happy because anything that takes women to a sports field, takes girls to a sports field is good. And the point is that Indian women in sport have caught up only recently with what the men's just their visible presence out there. So for Indians to see women competing, wearing shorts, sleeveless shirts, tank tops and running, it's a very big deal. When I used to watch sports, all the other athletes are wearing all those absolutely figure-hugging clothes, and our athletes very well toned and turned out. They had to wear some baggy clothes and run. Anju will remember.
Just check my photos, old photos, you can
Seriously.
see that. So one day, I was a Nike sponsored athlete, and Nike used to give two-piece and all the nice ones, and I was afraid to wear. So one day, I think it was somewhere in Europe, it was a Golden League competition was happening, and I told my husband that I'm going to wear this two-piece, and I thought I'm not going to get a medal because that was my first appearance. But I got a medal, and next day that was in the front page of all the newspapers, and I was scared to come back to India.
So this is where we are. The starting point of women's conversation. We are talking about what, kapda and what it looks like. You know, so all the women's hockey team, the strength and conditioning guy told me, he said all of them would come wearing baggy clothes to the gym. After 6 weeks, they all were wearing and checking out their muscles in the mirror and all that. So for women to get that agency and that self-confidence, they need to be involved in sport. So whether it is cricket, whether it is boxing, whether it is chess, whether it is any sport, they just need to be out there. And in Bangalore, the atmosphere is very different. In swimming, the atmosphere is very different. But the rest of the country is not like Bangalore or the major metros. And that is the section that is going to take to sport in a big way. So the point that you are asking about, why don't we see, because they are there. There are girls from Haryana who are now succeeding in badminton. You are saying we don't, there's Unnati Huda. There is a girl called Tanvi whose surname, embarrassingly, I have forgotten right now. They are from Haryana. They have come because they'll say, we don't want to do wrestling. What is the point? Let's play badminton. It's a safer place for us to be. So your best athletes will go to places where it's safe, where they can play, where they will be supported. And you need to see them out there. And they are there. You need to follow what the juniors are doing. Judokas, all those kind of sports. They compete all the year round. Go and look at the international federation. See what the events are where the athletes are competing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Just one question back to you all. How many of you will support your wives after marriage to pursue their career? More.
Men, all the men.
Okay, thank you.
The new generation of men.
Yes, they are changing.
Ma'am,
And how many of you will support your kids, especially girls, to do whatever they want?
Wow.
Wow, I'm so happy to see that.
Right.
But don't lie to us, okay?
We'll find you. We know where you are.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
Ma'am.
I hope you all enjoyed.
that exactly the same question which I want to ask. A spouse as your coach, how did you manage to deal with all your emotions? Because dealing with a spouse as a spouse itself is very difficult nowadays.
That you should ask him how he managed
No,
me.
I wanted to know from you, how did you manage, how did you
No,
cope up with
sometimes
that?
it was very difficult because sports is always demanding a lot. I have to work a lot. And he was actually always 24 hours with me as a coach and as my husband. He was just what I am eating, what I am drinking, always he was monitoring. And it was a difficult task and difficult time for me. Sometimes I used to tell I'm not going to come for training, I am going to jump from the car, all those things, all those dramas happened, but we focused in one thing and we did that.
That's really great.
I'm sure you all want the conversation to continue, but I'm sorry we have to end here because there's another session, I'm sure. Thank you, Sharda, and thank you, Anju, and thank you for being such an engaging audience.